week of April 20th through the 24th. This is one of our 6 remaining slides for 20th century and actually for the year. So we're almost there. Hang on tight, guys. All right, so this one, let me get this up. Come on, PowerPoint. Okay, so we got an interesting sculpture here, and yes, this is what it really does look like. It's called Lipstick Ascending on Caterpillar Tracks. This is done from 1969 to 1974. The artist, his name is Klaus Oldenburg, and it is made out of, for materials, there's kind of a list. So you got Corten steel, you have steel, aluminum, and cast resin painted with polyurethane enamel. Okay, so this is going to be classified under Klaus Oldenburg. He is definitely associated with the 1970s, specifically called the pop art movement. Okay, and pop art is referring to materials of everyday use, things that people consume on a daily basis, things that are in our face every day. That's kind of a little bit about some of the inspiration as far as what he constructs. And what he does is he usually takes things that are normally really small, like things that could like fit in your hand, or again that are kind of more on the smaller side, smaller scale, and he makes them enlarged. Okay, so like this piece right here, this is over 24 feet tall. Okay, and I just wanted to, before we get into discussing a little bit, I wanted to just show you a couple other examples. I've actually seen this one in Kansas. It's in a field and it has all these various, if you've ever played the game badminton, it has all these birdies, and they're all positioned differently throughout this entire field, and you really can't even tell to see how it's actually like, how it kind of looks like it's suspended, but how it's actually anchored into the ground, which I think is kind of cool. He does one also where it's a giant spoon. It's like part of like a bridge, but again, I don't think you could necessarily walk on it, but it's got a giant cherry. He's got a bow and arrow. This one is in San Francisco, and I can't remember exactly where this one's located, but I think it's interesting how he incorporates how some of it goes into the actual ground, and it makes you have that illusion like, oh, where's the rest of the bowling ball, when it's just the top portion that he actually constructs. So he does several of these. Maybe throughout your lifetime, you might actually visit one of these particular sculptures or come across it throughout the states or even internationally. He's got some that are in Europe. Okay, so let's go back to our caterpillar lipstick ascending on a caterpillar track. Okay, so again, he is associated with the pop art movement. Again, I was discussing earlier, he's using things that you see a commodity of, mass produced, things that are of daily use to consumers. And that's kind of like his focus on how he um, is inspired to construct his pieces. So again, he's made various other pieces, windshield wipers, vacuum, giant scales, and he does this as a style, though it may seem odd to other people. So let's just talk for a minute about where this is located. I didn't finish that for the identifier. This is located at Yale University. There was a specific spot it was located. It used to be near like where the President's Hall was, but I think it's moved a few times throughout its duration. So you can just leave it that it's located at Yale. Okay, so a couple things to just kind of notice with this. It is a lipstick on top, so if you wanted to just put that this is the lipstick. And then down below, this is actually called like a caterpillar track, and that's to describe the type of the track that it's designed to do. It moves. So we see a little bit of some feminism, and we also see a little bit of some masculinity being combined with this particular sculpture in itself. So if we look at the time period, because we kind of need to know contextually what's going on right now, we have the Vietnam War approaching, okay? And so this can be appropriate as far as the what it's kind of representing, as far as it's anti-war, it's a symbolism for anti-war, and then actually where this is positioned, or originally was, it was kind of like positioned where to be like for a backdrop for protests that would um, be going on campus. So originally this was installed at the Benecki Plaza in New Haven in 1969, and it was intended as a platform, like I said, for public speakers rallying against the anti-Vietnam protests. It was put secretly up, and it was his first monumental sculpture. So pop art, again, just wanted to reference, it uses everyday objects of the world, and basically what he's doing is he's glorifying everyday reality to bring the viewers face to face with it. He's also claiming this is not satire. Sorry, that is my 2-year-old in the background screaming. Although sometimes people find it hard to believe of these images they scale of these images that are scaled that they use. This is thought to be a reaction against the abstract expressionists. So we're actually literally seeing particular like sculptures being constructed. We know what this is. So this is going against the abstract expressionism. So this is revealing. This was revealed on the first day of finals and was built undercover again, with very few people knowing about this installation. We do see some male and female forms unite. So we have some various themes that can be associated with this. If you can just write down those themes, we have death, we have power, we have desire, sensuality. We even have some what we're referring to as gender equality. And again, this is bringing the viewer face to face with reality, specifically gender equality in war. Okay. Talk for a second about 1969. There's two things if you want to just put down that were important. Women were admitted for the first time at Yale. And then there were, I guess, a riot or a start of these student demonstrations that were starting to take place across the world. And this is kind of like after the civil rights that were in the 60s, and now we're starting to see women's rights start to um, shed some light. Okay, continuing on. All right, let me see what our notes. So we were talking a little bit about um, how this is critiquing a little bit of like some hyper masculinity of the war, and the blatant consumerism of the U.S. obsession. So blatant just means bad behavior so bad behavior of the U.S. and their obsession with beauty. Okay, there's this consumerism again. Think of like what he's standing for pop art. We're starting to see this U.S. obsession with beauty, while being distracted, the citizens are being distracted from the clients in the Vietnam War. Okay. This is also interpreted as a phallic symbol of our culture, yet others interpret it as a symbol of co-education. So with this, I think you could almost go back to like the Dada movement, how it's almost being interpreted up to the viewer's discretion. So everyone that looks at this could have their own take or their own view or their own perspective as to what this is actually supposed to symbolize and stand for. Originally, it was refurbished with to steel and fiberglass and reinstalled in 1974 on the Morse College at Yale. Originally it was made of inexpensive perishable materials and objects. Um, and then as we finish this up, I just wanted to quote Klaus Oldenburg a little bit about pop art. He's saying, I am preoccupied with the possibility of creating art which functions in a public situation without compromising its private character of being anti-heroic, anti-monument, anti-abstract, and anti-general. Challenges the meaning and basically, what he's trying to say is he's challenging the meaning of the ordinary. Because my work is naturally non meaningful, the meaning found in it will be doubtful and inconsistent, which is the way it should be. So he's okay with having you interpret it in various multiple ways. The use of the grand scale on a small scale subject known for intimate use reduces the scale of real landscape to the imaginary dimension. So again, the fact that he's using things, if you notice in all those other pieces, things that are normally small, and he's making them monumental size. Um, Okay, and then the very last thing to just say is this was like a common object in a perfect meeting place for common objects or a device of the reflection of their surrounding. So this is kind of like showing a parody of the heroic and monumental and the monumental and unheroic. Um, the original one, it did have it where it could deflate, and if it wasn't pumped, if not pumped, and replaced as a solid one. So that's what this one's made out of. It's made out of steel. And again, this is at Yale University. Okay, that's about all I needed to say for this one, guys. This will wrap us up. This is Pop Art, Claus Oldenburg, Lipstick Ascending on a Caterpillar Track. Okay, this is Ms. Howard signing out.